Scaling Ethereum. No longer can it wait. It needs to happen, and it needs to happen this year. Not only for the sake of our crypto wallets due to gas fees, but for the sake of decentralization. Decentralized needs to show it can compete with centralized, or centralized is going to take over decentralization. So are you ready to find your center? I hope it starts with a D, because it's time for Chico Crypto. So the base layer of Ethereum is about as decentralized as you get. In its current form, it's just behind Bitcoin based on hash power. But hash power isn't everything. Combining the distributed network of proof-of-work miners and the ever-growing number of nodes due to proof-of-stake, Ethereum is getting close to flipping Bitcoin in node count. And that switch to proof-of-stake is going to be a fateful time in crypto. It promises to be more secure than proof-of-work while providing Ethereum the base layer it needs for scaling into the future. Can Ethereum do it? Can it scale? Well, we need to start questioning everything, like the question I just said. And to begin with the questioning, we need to look into the past of Ether. Where to begin? Well, scaling Ethereum, where it started, with Plasma. Ethereum Plasma was hailed as the scaling solution, the one to bring Ethereum to the next level. The solution was drafted and proposed by, of course, a man Vitalik Buterin, but another character, Joseph Poon. Poon was actually the first person to present the solution to the community at large publicly in October of 2017. But Plasma failed and Poon ran off. January of 2020, CoinDesk put out this article, Did Ethereum Silently Give Up on Plasma? With the subheading, previously touted as the holy grail of Ethereum scalability, Plasma's significant weakness appears to have made the developers quietly drop the technology. So what was the problem with Plasma? Well, you just need to look at an Ethereum Layer 2 solution still relying on it to this day, OMG Network, formerly Amise Go. Plasma's idea, fully taken by OMG, was to take the Ethereum main chain as the source of truth and create a series of blockchains on top, aka sidechains. These sidechains would execute and store transactions on their own, which were confirmed as truth by the main chain in the case of a dispute. This child chain sidechain concept could build on top of itself and theoretically scale to infinity using the same concepts. So what went wrong? Well, with the OMG network, there is an intermediary to the child chain called the operator. This is controlled by a single block producing node, which validates all the transactions on the child chain before submitting them to Ethereum. A single node, a single point of failure. How could you trust this operator? Well, any funny business was supposed to be stopped by the watchers. Watchers were nodes which anyone could operate, and they would monitor the operator and the network for suspicious activity. And if they found it, they could submit a fraud proof, stopping the fraud. Well, the OMG network went live on the mainnet in June of last year, and in conjunction with the go live, one of Ethereum's big gas spenders and congestors, Tether USDT, announced they would be deploying on OMG's child chain. Tether said in their announcement article, USDT holders will obtain the benefits of transacting on the OMG network, which is built to reduce Ethereum congestion and gas fees with improved transaction speeds. The integration will result in a reduction of confirmation times, delivering faster payments, while fees will be reduced without compromising on-chain security. The OMG network will also facilitate USDT deposits and withdrawals at Bitfinex. This will allow traders to react faster to trading opportunities and take advantage of arbitrage more efficiently between exchanges as the network grows. Well, did this work out? Did this save Ethereum and gas fees like the news outlets were claiming? Well, let's just go check out the OMG Block Explorer today. Over 24 hours, not a single block was produced. The last blocks were 6 days ago and held a total of 4 transactions combined. OMG's child chain is not being used whatsoever and not being utilized at all by Bitfinex. Why? Something wasn't right. Something was still fully centralized. If you guys didn't know, OMG had a full-on breakdown. The original sold off the company in December, and now it's being run by new entities backed by a VC firm. The new entities put out their first developer update in early March of this year, and as we can see, they speak of the child chain V2, so obviously V1 had some issues, which they list below, like improved chain to watcher communications protocol. The watchers were not watching or working. So now that we understand history of why Plasma didn't plan out, what are the next scaling solutions for Ethereum, and which are the most decentralized? Well, once again, there are side chains, there are rollups with two main flavors, Optimism and ZK, and there are state channels. Out of this group, the rollups are getting the big freaking looks. The rollups are hailed as the solutions until sharding is ready. But like I said, question everything. I love Ethereum and I love decentralization, but are these rollups going to be decentralized? Well, we will find that out soon. But first, it's time for a short sponsored segment of this video, supported by our friends over at yAXIS. And like always, the full details of our agreement can be found in the description. So what is yAXIS? Well, their goal is to make DeFi easy through a decentralized application where users can create a set and forget, continually optimizing yield portfolio. So you get the Y in yAXIS now. They are all about making yield returns easy for the user by finding the best performing yield farming strategies for you. So how does it work? Well, let's dive into their dapp to understand. At the overview page, let's dive into product number 1, the Meta Vault. This is their flagship product, a pooled yield farming portfolio that secures some very attractive returns. As we can see, over 81% APR and over 113% APY for a pool that has over 186 million TVL in it. Not bad, and the Meta Vault is simple. You deposit what it wants for the currently best selected strategy. In this case, it's with Curve Finance, and it needs their LP token for stablecoins. Don't worry if you don't have that asset. It can convert from the stablecoins within the app too. Once deposited, this is when you can see its power. It tells you your future balance if the returns stay the same. That $501 we deposited would grow to over $1,200 in the future. This is in 12 months, but you can change your future scale to 6 months or even just 1 month or in between. So how does it perform this high of APYs and APRs by just accepting deposits of 4 tokens, USDC, USDC, DAI, and the 3 CRV LP token? Well, what they do with those tokens? The strategies are picked by chosen strategists. Their strategies are voted and approved by the DAO, the token holders, who can also vote in and out strategists. AKA the DAO decides based on the strategist strategies where the tokens go into other DeFi protocols, where harvest and token rewards are sent right back up through the flow of funds, which results in higher than normal total yields for the pool as a whole. Although the vaults are soon moving to V3, a canonical vault with delegated strategies. It's the same concept of V2, but applied to any ERC20 token. What that means in practice is BTC, ETH, and Link vaults to begin, with more assets to deposit, more strategies, and a much higher TVL coming soon. The next product I want to cover within their dapp is the staking vault, and this just had a major update because the governance token yAX migrated with a token swap to yAXIS from an ERC20 to ERC677. So if you haven't done the swap, a link for it is in the description. Why did they do this? Well, for staking. You can transfer and call in one transaction. This means you don't need to first approve before actually staking. You can both approve and send tokens in the same transaction. Much cheaper gas for the stakers. Which a deposit into that vault is intriguing, for the APR for staking right now is over 383% and APY is over 4,400%. And just like the Meta Vault, you can see your future returns, even based on different time frames. So if you want the complex taken out of yield farming while getting those type of returns, a link for the yAXIS dapp is below, as the dapp has much more coming. And now back to those Ethereum scaling solutions. So since rollups are the chosen scaling solution, let's begin questioning them. Rollups and Plasma are similar in many ways. Both scale Ethereum by moving transactions off-chain onto a sidechain. Ethereum mainnet, like in Plasma, is the source of truth for the sidechain and maintains proof of the sidechain state. The sidechain within Rollups is maintained by users and operators off-chain, separate from the L1 main chain. This means rollups need a sequencer, and looking at one of the popular rollup flavors, Optimistic, and their architecture, it's complex, but a small piece of it is a sequencer, a very important piece, which Vitalik spoke on in August of last year in a reply to Stephen Goldfeder, who is working on another flavor of rollup based on optimism, Arbitrum. Vitalik said, if you attempt to withdraw and the sequencer does not accept your withdrawal, then you have to publish a self-withdraw to the chain and then wait a week to get your coins out, which is a liveness failure. So the sequencer can unilaterally cause a liveness failures. And then the question is the sequencer a single party or are they distributed, aka decentralized? That's the issue with rollups. There may be full liveness failures from bad actors, and that isn't good with centralized sequencers. That is why you see a major stop in bold on Optimism's roadmap, is a decentralized sequencer, which doesn't have a quarter or date, just maybe sometime in 2022. That sequencer, who can submit a batch to a rollup, not only Optimism, many of the flavors, ZKs, and more, it's still up for debate how to make it decentralized. Is there a rollup that isn't relying on a sequencer? Well, Stephen actually said that in reply back to Vitalik. He said, first, can we not assume that all optimistic rollup protocols have a sequencer? Arbitrum doesn't, and we believe it is fundamentally a bad design. But if you go to Off-Chain Labs, those behind Arbitrum documentation, they have a section on sequencer mode, and they say, sequencer mode is an optional feature of Arbitrum chains, which can be turned on or off for each chain. On mainnet launch, the flagship chain will use a sequencer that is operated by Off-Chain Labs, aka Arbitrum will be centralized by a single sequencer at mainnet launch, just like Optimism, which they called a fundamentally bad design. What is going on? Who is going to release the decentralized sequencer first? A ZK rollup we didn't speak of, Optimism, Arbitrum, or someone else? I'm questioning all of them as decentralization calls for it. Cheers, I'll see you next time.